Hello friends, I'm Abby and today I will be filming the Finally Fall book tag. It is finally fall here in Ohio and I'm very thankful. We don't always get multiple weeks of fall weather and we have been getting that here, so I am feeling very grateful this year for a beautiful fall season. So let's get started with the Finally Fall book tag. Question 1 is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. For this, I'm going with A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee, because this book, if I can describe it in any way, is dark academia vibes. This book is more aesthetic than plot, but I absolutely loved this book, and I think that the setting of this boarding school where this book takes place, where there were witches in the past, and there are, trips to graveyards, out into the woods. It's cold and dark and dank, and the setting is just perfectly vivid and dark and spooky. Perfect for fall season. So this definitely has a very vivid setting. Number 2, nature is wonderful, but also dying. Choose a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a very heavy topic like death or grief. For this, I'm going to go with The Light Through the Leaves by Glendy Vanderhaugh, and this book is absolutely stunningly written. The writing is fabulous, the atmosphere and the story that is told is wonderful, and it deals with some pretty heavy topics. It deals with a child being kidnapped, it deals with death, it deals with the loss of your childhood, and it is just a beautiful depiction of grief and family and motherhood. And I think this book is absolutely stunning, and I've heard nobody talk about it here on BookTube, so I highly recommend this one. Number 3 is fall is back to school season. Name a nonfiction book that has taught you something new. And I'm going to go with In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, which I read at the beginning of this year, and so far is my favorite nonfiction book that I've read this year especially. And I think that this book taught me so much about queer relationships, what it's like to experience domestic violence in a female-female relationship, and kind of the doubt and experiences that those women might be going through, and also the pressures of society to conform to these ideas of womanhood. It just was a beautifully written book. It could have gone for the last prompt as well, but I chose this because it just made me think so much. It's the true story of Carmen Maria Machado's life. It's her memoir of spending years with an abusive partner, and she was with a woman, her partner was an abusive woman, and the dynamics of that were just so interesting, and I had never really read about it or heard about what that kind of experience was like before, so this taught me a lot. Number 4, in order to keep warm, it's important to spend time with someone you love. Name a fictional family, household, friend group that you would love to be a part of. And for this, I am going to choose Nevermoor, The Trials of Morgan Crow, and this whole series. The found family of the Deucalion Hotel in Nevermoor specifically, with Juniper North, and kind of all of the family members that Morgan gets to kind of take in when she comes to Nevermoor. It's just such a wholesome and beautiful family group to be a part of, and not to mention magical. So of course I would love to be part of this magical family. Number 5, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a spine stack of fall colored books. Here is my stack of orange, red, and yellow books. It is more than last year, I think, but I had to cut back on some of the books I wanted to put on this just because aesthetically I didn't love it. So I had my little stack of fall leaves books that doesn't include every fall colored spine I own, but it's all I could hold in my hands at the moment. Number 6, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. The perfect choice for this is a book I recently read, and that is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This book not only is a story being told to you, but in the story, multiple people tell stories, and they all are tied to fairy tales that are very widely known and are twists on some of those fairy tales. So this book has beautiful storytelling elements. It is like being read a fairy tale and being told a nighttime story, but it is an adult book, which I thought was such a beautiful twist on the previous things that I've read before, where someone is telling me a story in the book. So this book, the storytelling is fantastic. And in the story, when someone does tell like a bedtime story, those little bits of story are amazing as well. Number 7, the nights are getting colder and darker. Pick a dark and creepy read. My choice for this, I don't own yet, but it is The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I just read this fall and I am obsessed with it. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was dark, full of horror. It had some of the most fantastic elements in it that I look for in horror. It had that kind of Stephen King vibe, but less problematic and more exciting. There was less like filler in my opinion. And I just really, really loved all of the characters, but it was definitely dark and creepy. It not only had a serial killer element, it also had portal magic, it had dark sewers, it had demons, it had ghosts, it had time travel, it had everything I was looking for, and I absolutely loved it. So this is my most recent dark and creepy read that I would highly, highly recommend. Number 8, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming book that could warm up anybody's day. And I actually have 2 choices for this because I couldn't decide between them. And the first one is Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. It is very short, and this book is all about these kids who go into like fairy tale worlds, different worlds that are perfect for them, and then for some reason or another they come back to reality and they don't know how to cope. So they come to Eleanor's Home for Wayward Children, and she kind of helps them cope with reality until their doors potentially someday will come back for them. So this book was definitely heartwarming, had a beautiful found family, and also had a little bit of a murder mystery. So it went along quick. It is short and speedy, and I read it in one sitting. And then the other book that I would recommend is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is not necessarily a cozy, lighthearted book, but I do think it is heartwarming. This book was very moving. It made me cry twice in the short span of pages that it has, and it's all about this coffee shop where people can travel back in time, but they have to return before the coffee gets cold. So it follows 4 different people who decide to travel back in time to try to change something or just see somebody one last time, and it was so moving and heartwarming for sure. Number 9, fall returns every year. Name a favorite that you would like to return to soon. So this is an old favorite of mine. I haven't read it since high school, and I've been dying to return to it, and I think it might be the perfect fall read, and that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I was obsessed with this book when I read it. It still holds a place in my top favorite books of all time, but I haven't read it since I read it the first time. So I'm dying to reread it and find out if I have the same love for it that I had when I read it the first time. And this features 2 magicians who have this kind of romance but are also battling for a spot in this night circus that pops up in the middle of the night in people's towns. So I really want to come back to this and see if I love it as much as I did the first time. And number 10, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Name your favorite fall accessories. And I actually have all 3 of my favorite fall accessories with me. One is a cup of warm coffee. I'm not a tea drinker. I will drink tea, but I don't love it. Coffee is my go-to. And I actually have like this delicious pumpkin spice creamer right now. So I put a little splash of that in my coffee, and it's the perfect fall vibe. I also love to have a sweater with me at all times, even when I'm at work, because I love sweaters and I live in them in the fall. And then last but not least is a big fuzzy blanket, and I just got this blanket from at home, and I don't know if you can tell, but it has pumpkins all over it. So of course this fuzzy blanket is my go-to fall accessory. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video with anyone you think would enjoy it, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.